Hey everyone, here I am with, I'm going to get your name wrong here, Rolf Versluis, is that correct?
You nailed it.
Co-founder of, did I get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay, I normally get that wrong. Rolf is the co-founder and chief engineer of Zen Cash, and he's come in today to talk about Horizen. This is the new rebranding of Zen Cash. So Rolf has got a presentation that he wants to show us, he wants to go through, and we just want to chat about what this is all about. Because it's not, well, this isn't something that a lot of people expected. So I think the first thing I noticed, you know, I saw a couple of tweets about this today. I think when I first glanced about it, I thought it was just Horizen, but it's actually Horizen, which is quite a nice wee little twist on it, and it allows you to continue to use the Zen ZEN for the cryptocurrency.
It sure does, yeah. And it's also one of those unique things, so it's you can trademark it and people can do web searches on it and stuff like that.
So before we start the presentation, we were kind of quickly talking about that there, and I was talking to you briefly about GPUs and ASIC miners. This has been a hot topic this year, but you were saying there is a big announcement about this in a week or so. So I'd prefer to not talk about that today then and just concentrate on the rebrand and all that, and because there's no point talking about this if there's going to be a big announcement about this in a week or two. Perhaps we can speak again, or I can do a video about it in a week or so, if that's okay.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. I'll just bring up the presentation just now. How many pages we got here? We've got...
And, you know, we don't have to do the whole presentation. I just did a meetup last night, and I thought it was a nice, concise way of talking a little bit about what it is we're doing, what it is we're about, and you know, help some of your viewers that might not be familiar with ZenCash now Horizen get up to speed on what we're doing.
No, this is good as well. I can skip through the pages, so if I'm on the wrong page, just tell me.
Okay.
This just makes it a little bit easier for people to see what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'm on the first page here, and it's talking about the agenda. And
we're still very focused on privacy, and that's got a nice, you know, as we've grown here over the last year, our graphics artists and our marketing people they've really had a chance to demonstrate their skills. I mean, just even on the agenda page, a little conversion from ZenCash to Horizen. I love it.
Yeah, and that's nice. I've actually got your video going over that right now, but I did see the video about with Rob today. He was talking about it. Really nice.
Yeah. And we've changed. So yes, Horizen with ZEN at the end, and now our website's horizen.global. We've changed all our social media to it and stuff like that. And if you want to go to the next page, page 3, you'll see that we've got a tagline. We worked with a really outstanding branding agency, and on the live stream that we did just yesterday, Rosario talked a little bit about. I like the tagline. I like the logo. It's unique. I like the name. So it's something that isn't as limiting as what some people have said, like a Z coin or just cash. Now we can really, you know, define ourselves how we want and extend and expand however we want. So
it's bringing privacy to life. I'll just take your, I was taking your video away there just so people could see that. Bringing privacy to life. Yeah, it's a good point, Rolf, because I mean, like online, this is the problem. I've launched a lot of websites in my career as well, and sometimes you go with a really specific name and it's great at the time, but sometimes a short brandable name is better when you expand and you start, you know, growing outside your original kind of project. And you know, ZenCash is primarily known for the cryptocurrency, but you guys have also, there's a part here, build on Horizen. You've got Zen Chat, Zen Pub, Zen Hide. There's more to ZenCash than just the cryptocurrency. You know, you guys are trying to expand. So yeah, from a rebranding point of view, it does make sense. I do like that logo. As someone who's terrible at designing, I do like that logo.
Yeah, and you know, it's got a horizon on it with an earth and, you know, the ocean out there, and so it all kind of fits together.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I'll skip ahead to the next page here. What is Horizen? I'm cutting off some of the.
That one's kind of a dense one, but no problem. And for your folks that aren't familiar with Horizen, we launched as a chain split from Z Classic, which was a fork of ZenCash. And so a lot of our heritage is really the ZenCash technology. But we took some good ideas that we saw out there from Dash, where they have a treasury to continue to pay every month and have developers and marketers and all the other talents that you need in a full business to be able to go out and do things and expand and grow. And obviously we have the Bitcoin heritage. And as we've grown here over the last year and talked about implementing the things that we put in the white paper, which is a governance and voting system, and then the secure nodes and super nodes, where we want to be able to track and pay those, not in a centralized way like we do right now, but in a distributed way. We decided we need to do that on side chains. And if we're going to do side chains, we have the ability to host other applications on it. And so that's where the Ethereum looking forward type, being able to host applications on it. And from a performance standpoint, if we want to be able to do private messaging, which we can do now, but they're included in the blocks, which update on average every 2.5 minutes. If we want to be able to do private messaging back and forth, we need to be able to update that quicker. So we're looking at possibly moving from a blockchain structure to a DAG structure, which would make the transactions happen a lot quicker. So we've got a number of things that we have done, a number of things that we have in progress, and some research and development that we're planning to implement here over the next year. That's the big picture.
So that, the block reward, obviously, the 2.5 block time, if that was to be reduced or changes to the DAG system, that would affect deposits and withdrawals and everything with ZenCash as well, with Horizen. That would affect all that as well. Because obviously, when you look at masternodes, the problems that a lot of other coins out there just have, that have just now, is that they're masternodes for show. They don't actually have a purpose. But you have, I think, do you guys, I don't know, is this official? Do you have the biggest masternode network online as far as total nodes?
We do have total nodes. And the way we came up with the idea for nodes, and we took that from Dash as well, where they pay their masternodes and the masternodes vote on proposals, which I think is a brilliant system. We split it into a couple different ways of doing things. So the nodes, the secure nodes that we have, their purpose on the network is to have a node that your wallet application can connect to everywhere. So we look ahead and say, what if we're really, really popular? And we have people with wallets all over the place, and they want to connect, and maybe in countries where they block signals at the country level. We want to make sure we have a lot of nodes out there that people can connect to and that have a full copy of the blockchain, and that can create shielded transactions for a base layer of hiding the other shielded transactions out there. So that's what we pay secure nodes for. Super nodes are more powerful servers that are going to be running the side chains when we get that implemented. So now we're looking at, and I think we're leaning towards a sidechain implementation on ScoreX, and that'll initially be used for our own applications. One application is going to be tracking and payment of the nodes, and the other is the treasury, the governance and voting system. And then we would look at adding other applications, possibly third-party applications, to that sidechain network running on all these nodes. So yeah, we've got maybe 16,000 secure nodes right now, and I think possibly 3,000 or so super nodes. And there is a little bit of Zen that you need to own to run one of these nodes, and you need to meet all the requirements. But if you have the Zen in an address tied to that node, and you meet all the requirements, then you get paid. Yeah,
I think you guys were one of the first masternodes last year, and you launched at the time. It was very affordable because of the price of Zen at the time. I think ZenCash was only a few dollars at the time. But it's 42 coins, which I think today as we record is about $900 or so, roughly around that for the masternode. But your super node is 500 coins. And the fact you've got so many people committed to that is quite impressive in itself. Just, the number of people who want to hold ZenCash and, want to commit so many coins for the future. I wasn't aware that the masternodes were being used for separate applications. I didn't know that. I just thought it was an extension of the secure nodes. Just a tiered system. I didn't realize it had a different purpose.
Right. And then when we implement voting, it's not just going to be limited to the node owners. The voting system is going to be able to use, it's going to have a secret ballot because it's going to be using zero knowledge proofs. And people that don't run nodes are also going to be able to vote. So we have a white paper out on that, and that research and development and modeling was done by IOHK. And so they've gone through and designed it, tested it rigorously, and then now it's we're working with one of our development implementation partners, Infopulse, to get that running on the sidechain framework that we're putting together. And the reason we designed secure nodes, like you said, was such a low, because I remember last year Zen got
so last November or something like around that time.
Yeah, so you could get into a secure node. So there's people in countries that have high electricity costs, so mining's difficult. They're not developed for a game. But with secure nodes, they could. They didn't have too much. They didn't have to buy too much Zens. And then, you know, a lot of IT guys, server admins, they have maybe a few extra cores, maybe a few extra IP addresses, toss those things on there. And then all of a sudden we have nodes all over the world for people to connect to, which enhances the security of the network.
To go back to what you were saying before with the voting system, how does that work as far as the voting goes? Does the team just put forward certain proposals, as in we're looking to do this, A, B, or C, and then, you know, people who have got nodes and people who are involved in the project, they can then vote? Is that how it works?
Well, we haven't done any of the voting yet. So right now, the 10% of the new block reward comes to the Zen Blockchain Foundation, and we turn around and we pay that to the team and for bounties and for listing fees. In place, we're going to start transitioning portions of that to people voting on projects, and then we'll be able to transition towards decisions. Like you said at the beginning, we have the decision of whether to stick with the current mining protocol or change to something that at this point in time is not available to be mined by an ASIC. It's very difficult. We do the best we can to find the community feedback and desire on that. But with voting in place, we'd be able to put that type of question to vote. So the actual mechanics and specific processes is not what we've developed and created yet, but we're putting in place the system yet. And of course, a democracy or a representative type system is more than just being able to vote. There's other things to it as well. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, that in itself I find interesting, because the whole ASIC GPU thing, there was a lot of discussions about it, and you know, all the cryptocurrency discords this year. And there's always people, when it comes to that kind of thing, I think everyone's selfish. You know, if you've got GPUs, you're voting GPUs. If you've got ASICs, you're voting ASICs. But, you know, as developers, as a team, you could probably look and get a general feel for things, but you're going to see that black and white, what all your node holders, you know, all your supporters, what they actually want, and they can influence what direction the project goes. That's quite interesting that it's in place.
Other systems that vote, yeah, and it'll, during the voting process, nobody will see what the results are, so the results can't be gamed. The results are only going to be posted after the voting is done.
Yeah, so no one can see, oh, it's 80%, I'm going to change my vote and go the other way.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's quite interesting. And that's going to be backed up by...
We're going to be able to contribute back to, you know, the cryptocurrency sphere is a developed and tested and implemented voting system. We expect that other people will be implementing that on their projects as well.
So all that's going to be, it's all going to be supported by the masternodes, that whole voting system?
Yes. That's where the side chains are going to be running, on the super nodes. That's their purpose. That's why they have to have so many more cores, so much more memory, so much more SSD space, and so much more availability.
Oh, that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. Now, that was something that I think you guys had that in the roadmap from the start, in addition to Zen Chat, and what was the other one? Zen Pub?
Right. So when you do a shielded transaction, and a shielded transaction is different than a transparent transaction. So a transparent transaction, it's just like Bitcoin. The sending, receiving, and amount address is posted on the blockchain. With a shielded transaction, there's no sending address, no receiving address, no amount, yet it's recorded on the blockchain. Yeah. Within that shielded transaction, you can actually send a 512-character message. So I could send you a message, and it would be completely cryptographically secure. As long as you could reach the Horizen blockchain, you'd receive the message. We can go back and forth. Now, once we can do messaging, we can also do one-to-many messaging. We can distribute a display key or a view key, so people could subscribe to a shielded, messaging one-to-many type thing.
So like a group.
Within that message, we could include a URL. So that's where the publishing comes from.
Right. So I mean, how would the chat functionality, how would that actually be implemented? Is this going to be a mobile app? Is it going to be a browser thing? Is it going to be, is this something, could this be taken in lots of different directions?
So we actually have a small chat application that we've had for almost a year now, where if you create a shielded address and then share that private key, everybody who has that private key can be in on the chat. It works pretty well. It's just slow. It's not like Telegram or something that's rapid. It updates every 2.5 minutes. Which looking at going to a DAG.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, obviously there's always going to be comparisons to other messaging services. But the fact is, this is built upon the blockchain and it's secure. This is fundamentally where you guys are coming from and where you're trying to take it.
It is, and if we're going to be doing private payments and private transactions, by doing the communication within the same application, and oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I guess I have a Hangouts call that I need to ignore. Okay, so anyway, there's no outside metadata on that.
Right.
That's the plan anyway.
They're not going away, are they?
Okay. And if you want to go to the next slide, sometimes people ask, hey, what's your background? How'd you get into this stuff? So I always toss up just put together a small slide about my background. I was an officer in the Navy. I'm an engineer, a few different types of engineer, and started and ran and grew and then sold a small business that got to about 60 folks in the IT space. Then started mining, and then there's a video of me, doing a lot of the technical videos early on for Zen Cash, now Horizen. Yeah,
down here. Yeah, that's. I didn't know that was your background. I didn't know you'd served in the Navy and then moved into IT.
Yeah, I think they're in the UK. You call those submarines hunter-killer submarines. We call them fast attacks. That's the kind I was on.
Oh, right, okay. No, I didn't know they were called that. Apart from watching movies with Sean Connery in the submarine, I don't really know much. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you. So that's quite impressive. So you've got experience, what's that, about 16 years in IT?
Yeah. So I was working for Cisco Systems, and then now you see the Cisco phones all over the place, but started implementing early on data networks, wireless security, and then voice over IP systems, and did 1,000, 2,000 phone implementations. So I saw what happened when you catch a technology wave, because when we first started doing this, nobody did voice over IP phone systems. And by the time we sold our business, everybody was using voice over IP phone systems. And when you can get in front of a technology wave like that and be there and start doing things with it, it's a lot of fun because it's a rapidly growing industry, and you can really make changes in people's lives. And I feel that cryptocurrency is that way.
Well, I mean, that's pretty useful that you're bringing that, to not ZenCash, to Horizen, that kind of experience, because you've obviously worked with these different applications. One of the criticisms I have of many of the new cryptocurrencies this year is that they don't actually have a purpose. There's nothing in the roadmap as to what they're actually, what they're actually designed to do. There's just a currency. And it looks like you're trying to focus everything on, well, what's actually, chat functionality, all these different things, privacy. But yeah, you're trying to actually design something
that's usable by people and then by businesses, and then just even, if you go to the next slide, and you can skip through that quickly, but one of the questions that folks ask is, why do we even need privacy? And you think about in the business world, well, when you pay your suppliers or get payments from customers, that all needs to be private. So just being able to operate within a competitive business environment, you need to have privacy as one of the basic things.
Yeah.
And I took as an example of privacy the Bill of Rights from the Constitution here. That's a good starting point of, those are some freedoms that are delineated, just not that the Constitution gives us, but that we already have, that the Constitution recognizes. And in order to have those, you have to have the ability to have privacy in all sorts of different aspects of your life. And then if you look at, okay, what do people really do for privacy? If you hop to that next slide that has a bunch of pictures of different things that people might want to use cash for today.
Yeah.
Anywhere that you might want to use cash for or don't want people knowing what you're doing, that's a market for privacy cryptocurrencies. And for example, here in the state of Georgia, if you have a medical condition, you are allowed to take CBD oil, which is right, but you're not allowed to buy it. You're not allowed to bring it across a straight line. You're just allowed to use it. So if you're going to buy it, maybe you want to be using cash so that it doesn't show up.
Yeah, you're not on record. I actually saw a good argument. One of the things I think some people think that I don't like, I like privacy coins because I'm moving away from working with cryptocurrencies that are anonymous as far as the team goes, because there's so many exit scams and things like that. I'm kind of I don't. Maybe some people view this as hypocritical, but I think I want the teams and developers to be transparent, but I believe in privacy. And one of the best examples I saw was just your bank statement, your credit card statement. If you're going to start using cryptocurrency to buy things, you don't want anyone out there to see what's in your MasterCard bill. You don't want anyone to see what you've been buying over the last month or what you were buying at the shops or what shops you were using. And this is where privacy comes in. There's this thing in the media where they assume it's all bad things. Or they assume it's all for malicious, but a lot of the time it's legitimate things. You just don't want anyone to know what you're buying. It's the same with cash. People forget cash it's a privacy thing. Cash has privacy.
Right.
No one knows, what you're spending when you're spending money with cash. It's something that there's been a lot of debate over this over the last year with privacy. I think
some of the businesses I drive by. So I drive by a DUI school, a driving under the influence school. You don't want people to know that you have to go take classes there. I drive by a sex toy shop. You don't want people to know that you're going and shopping there. Or maybe you do. I don't know. I drive by a liquor store. There's some people that go by the liquor store every day. They probably don't want people to know that they're doing that. There's just all sorts of regular basic things that you don't want public.
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of people were a little bit misinformed about this, about why you need privacy. I think it's essential. It really is essential. We did see some exchanges at the start of the year. I don't know if you remember this, Rolf. There was a few exchanges that were attacked, and I think a few exchanges banned privacy coins because they lost money. Mm-hmm. I can't remember which one it was. There was a few, 2 or 3 that actually banned any, I think they banned Monero. I think they banned a few Equihash coins. But I think that was short-sighted. Just a reaction after being attacked and someone got the funds away. Privacy is essential. I don't think you'll get many people watching this that disagree with that. Yeah. It's one of the most important things of cryptocurrency.
And then one of the biggest ones that's a use case today, show it on the next slide, is actually international remittances. So there's people that go work in countries and then send money back to their countries that they don't have as much freedom, or they're fairly oppressed, or other things like that. And in some of those countries, it's very difficult to get a bank account, or even if you're able to get a bank account, the money that gets sent to you might not show up because someone takes fees or it disappears. So by being able to have a way to do easily done, no trusted third party required private remittances, I think that's a big market as well. That's one of the reasons why we work to get ambassadors all over the world, have our wallets and guides translated into all sorts of different languages. And again, you get secure nodes everywhere out there. So if we can get a secure node into a country, that a wallet can connect to that node.
Yep. Yeah, I think at the moment, like the table you're showing there, the graph, sorry, the world map, with all the money going everywhere. I know the Philippines is one of the biggest in the world for this, but Western Union has basically got a grip on that in that industry. There's so many people. I saw it myself when I was traveling South America, and people go to Western Union and perhaps they had family in Florida working, double time, working overtime, and they were sending the money back to Bolivia or Peru or whatever, but they had to use Western Union to send it back. And a lot of the time they did that, I think, so they didn't have to go through the banking system, so they didn't have anything that was tracked. And anyone who's ever used Western Union will know the fees are ridiculous. The fees are absolutely insane. I've sent a little bit of money there before, and yeah, it's ridiculous. The amount of money these companies charge for that.
Right, and the authorities can clamp down on that, and then they know who's getting money, so they can go shake them down if they want. If there's any ties to any criminal organizations, you know, they can put pressure on the people that are getting funds. So all in all, privacy is very helpful for this. And so we've had a way that you could do these private transactions, and we try to make sure we have good usable wallets all the time. So if you look at the next slide on number 9, I'll give you an example right now. You can go do a private transaction. You can self-shield your Zen. You can send private messages. We have a good wallet that's available. Right now, you need to have a full node wallet, not a lightweight wallet, to do shielded transactions. Like I said earlier, we get our technology from ZenCash. They're coming with a huge improvement in October with the sapling that should allow people to build lightweight wallets that can do shielded transactions and hardware wallets. And we're hoping to be able to integrate that into a future upgrade with Horizen as well. But right now you need but you can do this. And so that graphic in the lower right, one of the places that you can actually spend your Zen today is at MindGeek websites, and they own 90% of the online porn properties. So that's, again, one of those things where if you spend money there, you probably want it to be private.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I think you guys announced that, I think at the start of the year, was it Verge was the first partnership with them, and then ZenCash was announced just a few weeks later. It wasn't that long afterwards.
It was months later. Verge.
Oh, was it months later? Right.
A head start, and good for them for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the announcement at the time. You know, that you were partnering with Pornhub, and the traffic that those websites has is insane. I think it's still one of the highest. It's got one of the most highest traffic websites in the world. Well, I don't know if it includes the whole network or one particular website, but yeah. So there'll be a lot of people using Horizen.
I mean, I've been in the IT industry for a while, and you look through every technology transition, porn has driven a lot of it. Whether it's VHS tapes or
payment.
So
yeah, I think it was the very early days of payment processors as well, before PayPal and things as well.
Yeah.
So on the next slide, you've got Horizen, an inclusive ecosystem.
Yeah, so that's when we first launched. I tell people that one of the most difficult things is to even care that you exist, a cryptocurrency, and so that's one of the reasons we launched as a chain split. So we already had an inclusive ecosystem, but we need to make sure that all the different elements of the community and ecosystem have a way to benefit from this. So we aren't, begging people to do stuff. It's like, well, we want a lot of nodes up and running. Okay, let's pay them. We want to be on exchanges or have payments or point of sale partnerships. Sometimes there's a fee, or maybe we need to make sure that we have developers or engineers that work with them to get our application integrated with theirs. So there's work that needs to be done on all these things. And if you look on the next page, you can see a picture that has a listing or pictures of our team. And we got about 50 people, and including accountant and attorney and developers and partners, marketing, graphics artists. But along the bottom there, Rowan, who's in Scotland, has a great ambassador team and business development team, and nothing happens just because you build it. You can't just build it and people come. You have to go partner and work with people to get things integrated, show them how to use it. Like you said earlier, it's a drawback to having an anonymous team, because the people that want to do business want to know that there's someone that they can talk to that'll help them through any kind of difficulty or upgrades or things like that. So we found that this structure that we have to be very useful. It's
certainly one of the biggest teams I've seen in cryptocurrency. you'd be surprised. I've been surprised a few times. I've looked at certain projects, and you know they've got a high coin market cap, as relevant as that is, but yeah, you've got a high price or a high coin market cap, and then you check it and there's like 3 people working on the project, you know, or you've got something like Dogecoin where there's no one working on it, you know. To have over 50 people working in the project is really impressive, but it just shows you what's necessary.
Yeah. I mean, all these people are busy all the time, and they're doing lots of things. And that's why we end up having a live stream every 2 weeks just to give folks updates on what we're doing. And one of the programs that we have in place that we're working to build out more is our Worldwide Ambassador Program. That's on the next page. This has been a kind of an ad hoc program where people are part of the community, they contribute, they show that they're good at getting at understanding what it is that we're doing and getting people to get excited about Horizen. And then we more formalize that and make them ambassador. At the meetup I was with last night, 3 or 4 people came afterwards and said, "Oh, I'm interested in your ambassador program." We haven't quite done a good job of formalizing that yet, or doing a list of the things that you should do or how you should prepare. But what I tell people is, hey, join the community, figure out what we're all about, and about you kind of just figure out what they are, and then you start contributing, and then everybody that's on the team and in the community says, hey, this person really contributes. You need to make sure that they keep doing that. Yeah. So that's kind of how the ambassador program's grown for now, and we'll formalize it more and do expectations and training and things like that. But for now, I'd say, you know, join and start contributing. So
it's really just about people in their own region trying to make strides with local businesses and different business opportunities in the region locally.
Exactly, with locally, and work with, you know, like Luca in Italy is working with point of sale providers, and Arno works with businesses, and David and Alex in Russia are working with different organizations there. Every country, every region has their own way of approaching the market, their own interests, and their own key, you know, YouTube personalities, social media influencers.
Yeah, I've seen a few, not to criticize any other projects, but I've seen a few and they've got like an ambassador program, and a lot of it, all it is people on Twitter or Facebook just posting links, which I realize can help, but it seems like what you're focused on is more kind of the business side of it, as far as, you know, making partnerships and meeting people that are going to develop the coin later on and present a lot more opportunities.
Right, exactly, and that's the intent of it. And so if you look at the next slide, we actually, from the beginning, we've had some excellent partnerships. One of them is with IOHK. Before we launched in May of 2017, Rob and I were at Consensus. We met with Charles Hoskinson, which was fortuitous because after we launched, we had a little bit of an issue. So we had the ability to work with some IOHK engineers to get our initial implementation and fixes done. And IOHK has continued to be a good partner with Horizen. They've done a couple of research and modeling programs with us. One is on the treasury and governance model, and the other is on the block DAG scaling. So they do the research, development, modeling, and then for the bigger implementations, we work with InfoPulse, which is a software organization out of Ukraine, to do some of the bigger implementations. They supplement our on-staff developers.
So you've been working with those guys for a few years now, or at least a year or so now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's quite impressive.
Check out some of our old videos, and how I'm thanking those guys for helping us with, because when we launched, it was basically a bootstrap. We had a developer that a week after we launched, he quit and attacked the program. We had no developers, and we had a choice back in, June of 2017. Hey, are we going to continue or what are we? It was a difficult time. You can look back through some of the YouTube videos there where, you know, I'm giving updates once or twice a day on what's going on because our wallets were closed. There was transaction replays. There was some trouble that we've gone through, and that was probably a good wake-up call and learning experience. Yeah. To say, well, we don't want to be dependent on any one developer or any one person. We don't want any single point of failures. We want this project to be reliable and do what we said it's going to do and continue. And so IOHK was very helpful, Charles specifically. and that relationship has been fruitful and continued along.
I don't know much about that organization, but I do know that most Western cryptocurrencies or Western-based cryptocurrencies, they don't have a presence in Asia at all, and it's one of the biggest markets out there. So just having some partners over there must be pretty good as well.
Yeah, and we've got great ambassadors in Japan and Korea and in China, and just like I said earlier, having the local languages, and then IOHK helped develop Cardano, and they launched that in Japan, so they've got experience over there. Cryptocurrency is a worldwide thing, and if we can just get through the usefulness of Horizen, a few 100,000 or a few million people to put a little bit in their wallet, that's pretty much the entire supply right there.
Yep. What is it? It's still 21 million right now. Is the max supply, isn't it? What's the current supply?
I think about 4 million.
Right. Okay. I can check that through CoinMarketCap. I think the last time I checked was a few months ago.
We do about 216,000 new Zen per month on average.
Right.
And,
okay.
Next slide, you'll see where that goes. So 70% goes to miners, 10% goes to the treasury, which the Zen Blockchain Foundation allocates that, and we pretty much turn around and spend it all on different things. Whether it's to partnerships or to developers or marketers or business developers. And then 10% go to the secure nodes and 10% go to the super nodes, which is another way of distributing. And this is a way to get Zen into the hands of people who then turn around and hopefully develop small Horizen economies, ecosystems in their own area, because that's what we really need to get to have people spending, is get a virtuous cycle of earning, spending, and then teaching the businesses or people that you spend the Zen with what they can then do with that. And that's a long, difficult process. But again, that's why you need to have people that sit down and show them how to use the wallet, show why private transactions are important, and integrate with point of sale systems, reporting systems like, QuickBooks for accounting. And there's a lot to be done. And I'm looking at it from a business owner standpoint, from having owned a business, what all needs to be done to be able to get something fully working like this.
Yeah. I remember seeing this split a few months ago, because it was a little bit different before, and then it changed to this when the Supernodes was introduced. Exactly. 70, 10, 10, 10. I think the treasury was it 8.5 before, and then it went up to 10.
Yeah, Kevin, you got that right. Yep.
Yeah, it makes sense though. I found the secure node and super node thing was quite interesting, because I think there's been a few times where it's kind of switched between which one's the most profitable from a masternode's point of view, which makes sense, because until it stabilizes and people get the nodes online, there's maybe going to be an imbalance there. But you've got 10% of the block reward being split between all the secure node holders, and then 10% for the super node holders, and then the other 10% the treasury, 50 plus staff to maintain, and all this as well. That's pretty good, because I think when you're only relying on a pre-mine or a large ICO, it's hard to sustain that over 5 or 10 or more years, which is why I think most coins should be introducing something like this into the block.
Yeah, getting the funds up front really skews the things that you're trying to do. Some of the ICOs are having issues where they have to hedge their funds. So, and then when you get a whole bunch of money up front, there's a lot of pressure to say, well, I got to build out a big organization quickly. Whereas we can grow the organization as we succeed. And when we make small mistakes at the beginning, we're not doing it with large amounts of funds or a large organization. So, not saying that folks that do ICOs or pre-mine can't succeed, but I like our way of doing it.
I think, and I think there's more risk. Certainly, like a pre-mine, I guess it depends how it's funded and how it's, because you can get, like, say, 2 million coins or 5 million. But if it's staged over many years and a different business model is introduced later, then I guess that works. But with an ICO, I always think with an ICO, it's too much money too soon, before they've even got a working wallet, before they've got anything. And I think there's always a risk for money to be wasted, as far as expensive exchange fees, which if you are growing steadily, he'd probably say, no, it isn't worth it at this stage. But if you've got a huge amount of money, you would say, yeah, we'll get listed. And before you know it, half your ICO is spent within the first 6 months, and you're trying to sustain this project for many years. Yeah, I mean, I've been quite vocal about this. I'm a big supporter of a treasury fund in the block reward. I think it does make sense, especially for.
You mentioned exchange fees, and we're seeing that now, because when we first started, Bittrex was our big exchange, and we slowly got onto other exchanges where we didn't have very high fees. And now that we're in the top 100 on the coin market cap, I think we're somewhere in the 60s or 70s. Exchanges are coming to us.
Yeah.
Saying, we'd like to list y'all.
I saw that with you're obviously on Binance, which is still the top exchange online. And they're known for charging a lot of money, but reading between the lines, what I think the rumours were that you didn't have to pay the full fee because they wanted you to list you, essentially. I think I saw Rob and a few others saying that. But that was a major haul, because I think you got Binance, you got hardware support, and you got a few other things around the same time. Yeah,
the Ledger hardware wallet, exactly. And then we got the Trezor Model T coming out, and there's a few other hardware wallets that are coming out soon that we're beyond. And hardware wallet support is very important. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, don't mention the Trezor. I bought mine, and I think it was about 2 days later they released a new one. I've got the old version, but yeah, you make a good point, because I think exchanges, basically they're the gatekeepers a lot of the time, and they can really influence how a coin does. But there obviously comes a point where they can't not list a coin because it's so big and so popular, and they're almost annoying their users if they don't list it. Perhaps you know what you're saying. It sounds like Horizen is at that point already, where all the big exchanges want to list ZenCash. Right, Horizen. I keep making that mistake. I've been calling it ZenCash for a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough to make a change, and when you make a change like that, it takes a little while to internalize it, because people have built up so many more emotions and feelings around a specific logo and name, and so anything new gives you an uncomfortable feeling. But I think the marketing team made a great choice. I
think long term though, it does make sense though, because I think when you mention ZenCash, someone will say, oh, did you mean Zcash, or did you mean this, or did you mean that? I think you're going to avoid any confusion about that now with the word Horizen.
Oh yeah, I forgot people say Z instead of Z. Oh,
I mix them up. I mix them up all the time. I get criticised for this a lot, because I don't know if it's because I did a little bit of travelling in my 20s. You know, I was in Australia, then South America, I was a few different places. And the words you use get mixed up a little bit when you're traveling a little bit, because you're speaking to so many different people. So I change what I say all the time. I say Z, and then later on I say Z. I've got no idea what I'm doing. On the next page, you've got the roadmap for Horizen.
Yeah, that shows that we've accomplished a lot of things, and we have a number of things to accomplish. In fact, if you jump past one to the next one, it'll show the major improvements that we've got going. We have some new wallets that we've been working on, for 8-9 months now. Those should be coming out soon. That's some of the minor improvements. The major ones are the two ones that we've already talked about, which are the side chains that are going to have the treasury and governance, and then we're going to move the tracking and payment of the secure and super nodes from a centralized server cluster, which is all now, to the actual decentralized side chains. And then after we do that, then we're going to take on other distributed applications running on the side chains, and possibly applications running on secure nodes. At that point, we'll probably have a 20 to 30,000 compute node network, which is tiny compared to something like Amazon Web Services. But there are things that maybe people want to do on a distributed compute network that they don't want to do on one of the major cloud service providers like AWS or Azure or something like that.
Yeah, there's quite a lot in your roadmap when you see it. You've got Zen Chat in Q3. You've got the Horizen Lite wallet. Team expansion.
The Horizen Lite wallet is done. So that's been around for a year or so. The Swing wallet, that's continued to improve. We have the.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong part. Yeah, I thought that was 2018. Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, we actually did a lot, and then we helped update the small mining software that people can use for running their own small mining pool. And there was a security issue with that, so we've updated and taken care of that type of stuff. So there's a number of different things we've already done, and a number of things that we're in the process of doing. I think the big ones that you're going to see are the new wallets. We're calling those, I believe, Zen Vault, or the name might change. But the new wallets, and then the 51% attack protection. So that's what we currently are moving into testnet soon. We had that 51% attack that resulted in some funds being basically an exchange attack.
I double spend. Yeah, I remember that. I think Bitcoin Gold get first hit, and then ZenCash was a little bit later.
Yeah. And if someone even put up a website, the Crypto51.app, where you can see how much available hash power there is. The interesting thing is that Horizen is not as susceptible right now to that type of 51% of attack on Equihash, just because of all the ASICs that have been coming online. So it's worth taking a look at that website. But yeah, so our developers came up, actually Alberto came up, our lead architect and developer, with the idea of modifying the Satoshi consensus so it's not strictly the longest chain. It's if there's a long chain that has not been public to the rest of the network, there'll be penalties imposed, so there won't be an automatic switch over to a long chain that's released. I don't know the exact specifics of how that's implemented or the ins and outs of it, but I know he'd been talking with IOHK and some of the engineers there about the implementation of it, and we're moving that to testnet soon, and that will be a soft fork upgrade that we'll be able to roll out here hopefully in the next month or two.
Right. So you guys got a lot on your plate. I saw it in the Horizen roadmap at the very end. It says 2019 and beyond, and it says humans out of the loop. I think that's kind of summarizes a lot of what you're trying to do, what you were saying with the voting and the payment systems and all that as well. Trying to decentralize as much as you can.
Part of it, and part of the concern that I have right now is the Treasury goes to the Zen Blockchain Foundation, and then we run that kind of, we get as much community input as we want, but at the end of the day, and most of the people that are part of the Zen Blockchain Foundation came from the community.
Yeah.
But we don't have the ability to do the voting formally. So at some point, we want to automate that more and more so that the system, the people that are the participants in the Horizen system are the ones that are making the choices and voting. And so ideally, 2 to 3 years from now, I'd love to have a much more competitive, talented group than ours, even though ours is very darn competitive and talented, come in and say, we're going to do a better job, and they get voted in, or they get voted in to do a portion of it. And so that we have competition for the Treasury funds, and we get a best of group of people that are working to continue to improve Horizen as we go along.
So do you think that could be abused in any way as far as people competing, or do you think that's something would even out, just because of the sheer volume of people?
Political, it'll be like your members of parliament doing all sorts of crazy things. It's gonna be fun.
How does it work though, the voting system, to go back to that? Because are people with masternodes, do they have more votes? Is that how it works as far as
I don't quite understand. I do know that the voting system as it was designed would be allowing people to take Zen and basically put it in escrow to get a voting ticket during a voting epoch, and then after the voting epoch is over, after a period of time, they would regain control of that Zen that's in escrow.
So you wouldn't have to have a secure node or a master node. You could say, listen, I've got 1,000 Zen in my wallet, 1,000 Horizen. I want my voice to be heard, and then secure the vote. Right.
So but to me, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to. I'm not sure exactly how the implementation is going to happen, or if this is the way it's going to be, because we haven't done it yet. But if you have 500 Zen in a super node, maybe you're able to vote with that also, while at the same time running your super node.
Yeah. It opens up a lot of ideas, though, a lot of different directions you could go as far as voting goes. I mean, this is one of the criticisms of a lot of coins within their own communities is that their voice isn't being heard. And I guess it's kind of hard to get that balance because you want to listen to people, but you want to make sure that things still move forward. The voting system, if it's applied right and it's operating right, this could be a very good thing, and maybe bring more people to the project.
Right, and that's the intent. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. One of the lads, you've got Horizen now local in Atlanta, but you've got Get Involved with Horizen as well. Yeah. It's one of the last ones.
So we encourage people to become involved with Horizen. And we have a very active Telegram, a very active Discord with all sorts of different channels to talk. It's still a very mineable cryptocurrency. We have people that do proposals on the forum. We're going to improve our proposal system, and now it's a little bit ad hoc. But we have a whole list of things to do, and we have time to do it. So even though everything's not perfect now, it'll continue to improve as we go along. Running secure nodes, super nodes, and then the ambassador program like we talked about earlier. So there's lots of different ways to be actually involved and contribute.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, again, it goes back to the fact that everyone, well, certainly me, but one of the things that I think most people want to do when you have a cryptocurrency is you want to get involved. I think if you're a miner especially, or if you're an investor as well, I guess, you want to, it feels like you're directly influencing the success of the coin if you're contributing. That's the way that I look at it. I feel like I can help in some way, and this will help my investment be more likely to succeed and more likely to go up in value. It's perhaps a little bit early in the cryptocurrency world to be talking about value. I think with good projects, really good projects that are going to be there for years, price shouldn't even be an issue really. You should just be thinking long term. But there's certainly a lot of ways for people to get involved in Horizen. I said it right that time. I said it right. I did say ZenCash. No, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Just looking at the last slide, one of the last slides here, 16,000 nodes. Really interesting looking at the growth.
But yeah, there's a lot of nodes. I mean, goodness. It's I'm very impressed by the number of people that come out. And there's just like in the masternode world, there are some folks that will host secure and super nodes for you.
Shared masternode service.
Yeah, there are. But I think there's a lot of people that are running one or two or just a few nodes wherever they're at too. I think we have a pretty good distribution of it.
Yeah, this is something actually I've been discussing this with people on my channel. I'm keen to set up a secure node. But we were talking about this earlier as a GPU miner. I might mine Ethereum or Ethereum Classic for a while and then just buy some ZenCash and try and build it up or something. Need to rethink my mining strategy.
You gotta mine what's most profitable and then
buy the coins from there.
Right.
So yeah, it's very interesting rebrand. Was this something that was in development all year, or was this something that you always wanted to do, or was this,
Well, it was something where it had kind of, as we go around to different parts of the world, in some places, Zen is actually a religion.
Yeah.
So the issue we
it's
have
a Buddhism thing, or
is there's Zen and Zed, but in different parts of the world, it's like, well, it's a religious type coin. Imagine if I was trying to launch a cryptocurrency and get it very popular, and it was a Christ coin or
Jesus coin or something.
Even though the team and coin and everything is good, so can be I don't know what if you name a coin after religious. So that's one of the reasons why we and then cash. It limits us to saying, oh, it's cash. So I don't know. That's why we kind of thought that a more general cryptocurrency name or general name would be helpful. The logo, as we remarked earlier, you're in UK. The logo is very similar to the NatWest logo, so that's probably not good to continue that long term. So we needed a new logo, and I'm very happy with the way the entire branding process went. It's something that we had been thinking about for a number of months, and then anytime you want to do something, you have to actually get someone to do it. It's very easy to talk about everything that people want to do, but then actually doing the work and getting it done is a whole nother story. But
I think branding is always difficult because this doesn't affect, it's not like you just go, right, we'll upload a new logo to the website. This affects every aspect of branding and marketing and every reference, and then you have to tell people about it. And yeah, it's not an easy decision. You have to make sure that it's the right decision, not just for the next few months, but the next 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, and we're a big believer in working with professionals in their area of expertise. You know, if you're going to work with developers or researchers, go see if you can work with the best. You know, our accountant, Kirk, you go look in the bookstore, he's got a book on, you know, Bitcoin and accounting. Our attorney, Dean, he's worked with, you know, high startup, fast startup company before, and came and worked with us. And so we worked with a very good branding agency, Brandtuitive, that has a lot of experience. And the interviews they did, the discussions they did, they took a real deep look and tried to figure out, we had an internal meeting on just, it was like 45 minutes on getting people to decision points and colors and words. There's a lot of thought and research and their decades of experience that went into the name, the logo, and the tagline.
And not just that, you've got 50 plus people to try and keep happy, and then the community to make this decision, because I've got no doubt that there were certain names and logos suggested that other people didn't like, and then you have to, you know, come to a compromise. I think it kind of makes sense with the Horizen. You've got Zen at the end, so you can continue using the same acronym and you know, all the different websites, CoinMarketCap and what to mine and all that. Everyone still knows it as Zen. So that kind of makes sense. You didn't have to change that. No, it looks good though. It looks good. There's definitely a lot of big things happening on the horizon. Look at that for a cheesy gateway. No, but no, it's looking good. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do over the next few months and keeping track of it. I know on a personal note, I'm definitely going to look into setting up a secure node. That's what I'm aiming to do. But from a mining perspective, I'm going to be very keen to see what you guys decide to do with that as well. So that's another big change. Yeah,
there's I've got about 40 GPU miners that each have 6 graphics cards. I'd love to put them to work on mining Horizen, but it's more important to maintain the security and have the priorities of the development team and the community. So we're still evaluating and discussing. We have not come to a decision because there's a lot of positives for either changing the parameters short term or keeping ASICs or keeping the equivalent parameter, and then long term looking for a more equivalent type algorithm. So again, we haven't come to a decision. We're still discussing it, still bringing in data, looking at what other people have done, and talking about what our priorities are and what we want to accomplish.
It's whatever you do, you're going to annoy some people. That's the reality of it. You know, but you're right. You have to think about what's best for the coin, best for the security, best long term. And maybe there is the argument that GPU mining over the next few years might die off, and you should be switching to ASICs. But that's a hard decision to make when your community was, you know, developed with the help of GPU miners. Exactly. It's really difficult, and this is the thing that a lot of coins have faced this year. You know, especially in the Equihash world. So good luck, good luck with that. Yeah, it's difficult, but yeah, I'll be keeping track of that as well, and hopefully we can chat again in the future to see how you guys are doing.
Would love to, Kevin.
Yeah, well, many thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Best of luck with the rebrand. I know that you're going to have to be talking to a lot of people to get the word out about this. It'll be a lot of work for you guys, but yeah, for the benefit of everyone else, ZenCash is now Horizen. That's the new name, but still uses Zen as the acronym. Thanks for coming on again, Rolf. I really do appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with the coin over the next year or so.
Well, we got big plans, and so far we got a track record of success, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk on your show, Kevin, and look forward to talking with you again in the future.
Sounds good, Rolf. Anytime, mate. Right, thanks a lot. And thanks to everyone who's been watching. Cheers.